Welcome into AZ Audibles. I'm Haley Stasiak alongside Eric Sorensen and Jordan Ham. This week we're going to talk about the burners of Arizona high school football. Jawar Jordan was named the fastest player at the opening regionals in Los Angeles over the weekend. He brings a lot of attention on the football field and in track and field. Who are some other guys we're seeing that are kind of our fast guys of Arizona high school football?
For me, it's Marquee Johnson over at Chaparral. Super explosive. You talk about a guy averaged almost 8 yards a carry, over 21 yards a reception. And I think with Jack Miller in the fold at quarterback, Chris Heavner now the new offensive coordinator, you're going to see a little revival in that Firebirds offense. And I look for those numbers from 2016, 11 touchdowns, potentially even double next year in 2017.
I'm going to take a little different approach. I'm going to go some quarterbacks that are absolute burners. Max Massingale over at Saguaro and Jamari Joyner at Cienega. Massingale combined with Stone Matthews for over 3,000 rushing yards last year. And he's just such a great athlete where you have to account for that. He takes care of the football, only 4 interceptions last year. So he's a guy that if there's some green in front of him, he's going to take advantage and score. And then Jamari Joyner, he's committed to Arizona. He's good enough to play quarterback. He is going as a quarterback, but according to Jason Jewell, he's athletic enough to play a DB, a wide receiver position. So these are two guys that if there's open space in front of them, watch out.
And Massingale really is almost a glider. He doesn't look like he's real fast, but he's got that deceptive breakaway speed. Coach Mons talked about that quite a bit last year as he was sort of making his way and developing his own character as a quarterback.
I'm going with Lance Lawson out of Red Mountain. He was also at the opening this past weekend. He was placed at 15 in the Nike ratings. He plays all over the field, and he's very versatile. He can throw the ball, he can catch it, and he can rush it. So I definitely think that we'll see his speed this season and at the next level as well. Spring football is getting closer, and as it does, teams are going to start addressing who they need to replace, and there's a lot of big names that are moving on to the next level and graduating. So who are you seeing as the most interesting that's being replaced?
For me, it's over at Desert Ridge, Jaylen Harris. This is a guy that is so long and played both ways. He was a great tight end for them, but also on the defensive side of the ball, he was a guy that really could get after the quarterback. He had 111 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, and 30 sacks in his high school career. And again, was just such a long option for the offense. The interesting storyline here is the person that probably replaces that role and fills that need is his younger brother Jason, who is already making a name for himself and already getting attention from a lot of schools at the next level. But seeing the two of them on the field together this past year was a pretty scary thought for opposing offenses.
I'm going with Chase Cord out of Sunrise Mountain. He's committed to Boise State, one of the most productive quarterbacks in the state of Arizona. In his career, he had 137 passing touchdowns, 10,000 yards, only 20 interceptions. That's 7 times more touchdowns than interceptions. And he had 38 rushing touchdowns for 2,400 yards. It's really going to be interesting to see what he does at the next level at Boise and how Sunrise Mountain replaces him.
I'm going to cheat. I've got 2 names. Max Fine, Justice Stokes.
Same school.
Productive. True, same school. Super productive wide receivers out at Williams Field. When you're talking about 23 touchdowns, over 2,200 yards, over 100 receptions, those 2 guys really helped stabilize Zach Shepard. Young quarterback came in, took over the reins, led the Blackhawks to a 5A state championship, going undefeated. And I think not only is it their sure hands, but it's also their leadership. When you go undefeated, you have to really mold and buy in to your upperclassmen, and Stokes and Fine were 2 of the best of that last year.
And at the wide receiver position, they're very good blockers. You know that the Blackhawks love to run the ball as well. And
underrated aspects.
Yeah,
definitely.
they were key aspects in that running game as well.
Staying on the topic of spring football, as it does approach, what do we think that the most important aspect of it is? For me, it's kind of the team chemistry. I wouldn't say it's the most important, but this is the time for the teams to figure out where they click and really make that team bond. What is it for you, Jordan?
I think it's the conditioning side of things. A lot of these guys will spend time on the track as well as in spring football. So games are won in the fourth quarter in high school football games, but it starts here in spring ball as guys are trying to get conditioned. And you look at, the speedy teams like Chandler who are just able to gas teams here in the fourth quarter, and then also like a Centennial style team where they have the big guys up front, but those guys are well conditioned and they're able to continue to keep pounding as the game progresses.
I'm going to go with timing, specifically with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. These groups work out quite a bit in the off season, but in spring football is when you're really dialing in and running the plays and the schemes that you're going to be using not only in the summer but also in the fall.
That's what we've got for you this week on AZ Audibles. Be sure to check out Eric's zone read and more of our high school football content on sports360az.com. We'll see you next week.